you by Telstra. It doesn't cost much to stay in touch.
8:30 Friday, Take Off with Steven Spielberg's legendary blockbuster, starring Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Ten Late Night News proudly brought to you by Hyundai's XL Run Out. Run in before they run out.
10's Late News with Jason Cameron. Heading the late night news, calls from around Australia swamp police hunting for Perth's serial killer. The battle over Senator Mal Colston's expense claims hots up with the spotlight back on Labor. And outrage in England as IRA-coded bomb threats stop the Grand National steeplechase. Good evening. First tonight, the overwhelming reaction to appeals for information about Perth's serial killer. Police say they've been inundated with calls from the public and they're hopeful the information will yield vital clues.
Since Kira Glennon's body was found in bushland, the phones at Crime Stoppers haven't stopped ringing.
What you can do, if you pass your details on to me and what you've got to tell us, and I'll pass on to the Macro Task Force.
Today, police have revealed that several anonymous callers claim to have seen what could prove to be crucial events. But police want to know more and need to speak to the unknown callers again. Police aren't willing to disclose what sort of information the anonymous callers provided, but say it is a vital clue in their investigations.
Certainly they will know that they are the ones that have phoned through over the last couple of days anonymously relating to incidents or things that have been seen Pipperdinny Road or the Eglinton area.
More than 15,000 calls have flooded into Crime Stoppers since Kira Glennon went missing 3 weeks ago. 5,100 calls since the grim find on Thursday. The calls, hopeful clues and information handed to Macro Task Force detectives working desperately to solve the murders of Kira Glennon and Jane Rimmer. But while many calls have been genuine, last night a vicious prank. Police pulling out all stops to respond to a report that a woman had been dragged into a car in Claremont.
At this location, they can't locate a complainant at all.
Meantime, the search for clues at the area where Kira Glennon's body was found has now been scaled down. Claudia Bertarello, 10 News.
A mystery for Brisbane police. They fear somebody has been murdered or has bled to death on the city's south side. The mystery began with the discovery of a large bloodstain and a 50-metre trail of blood at an industrial estate. But an intense search of the estate and nearby scrub only deepened the mystery. The blood trail ended suddenly, prompting police to think the victim may have been driven away and dumped somewhere else. The federal government is turning attacks over Senator Mal Colston back on Labor. Administrative Services Minister David Jull today seized on years of Labor government inaction after discovering Senator Colston's sloppy bookkeeping dates back to 1983.
The Labor Party has been relentless in its pursuit of Senator Colston. But Minister David Jull today put the blame for his misclaimed allowances back on the previous government.
Most of the claims and most of the irregularities that have been brought up have happened between 1991 and 1995. Now, either the Labor Ministry were blithering incompetence or they had some reason to hide some of this.
And he's told his department to tell him how Labor handled incidents of overclaimed expenses. Back in 1983, the Labor government accepted Senator Colston's explanation of sloppy bookkeeping for his first case of misclaimed expenses. After he paid the money back, it promised to monitor his activities, something it seems not to have done.
Well, it's one thing to treat him as we did then, as a young mistake maker. It's another thing looking at him now as an old lag with years apparently of accumulated form.
But the Prime Minister thinks the Labor attacks have nothing to do with concern over taxpayers' money.
It's got everything to do with doing in the eye a bloke you reckon ratted on your party.
If Senator Colston is forced out, the Labor Party could then have the numbers to block any government legislation it wants. There are still 2 weeks before a second report is completed into Senator Colston's allowance claims. The Minister says he won't be forced into acting before he's received all the information. James Baker, 10 News.
Controversy continues to dog Western Australia's Liberal Party. Even though it's re-endorsed Ross Lightfoot to fill a Senate vacancy, there are still rumblings over his connection with former Senator Noel Crichton-Browne.
I think I'm the only one in history that's been nominated now, that's been ratified twice without dissent.
The vacant Senate seat created by the death of John Panizza finally belongs to Ross Lightfoot. It's the second time he's been endorsed. The first, according to party president David Honey, was invalid, a ruling he's still defending.
People can make accusations all they like. I mean, that sort of talk is just nonsense. What we're about is carrying out our processes properly. That's what we did yesterday and today.
Both claim no damage has been done, but it's created doubts about Mr Lightfoot's support base.
Does it concern you that members of your own party, including members that you'll be travelling to Canberra with, have publicly said that they consider you to be a bit of a Fruit Loop?
I don't have any comment on that.
And there's still controversy over just how much of a hand old power broker Noel Crichton-Browne had in the whole process.
There's a few more stakes need to be driven through Noel Crichton-Browne's heart before he lies down.
Lisa Fairclough, 10 News.
Thousands of people rallied in Sydney to save a national icon. They say the state government's to blame for a tall apartment block springing up at Circular Quay, blocking priceless views of the Opera House.
It's been likened to the Berlin Wall, a multi-storey apartment and hotel complex built by a Hong Kong company on Sydney's Circular Quay. Opponents say it ruins an international icon.
The tourists are laughing at us. They say that nobody would allow this in any other country.
Some 2,000 protesters have rallied on the steps of Sydney's Opera House. Their demands simple: stop construction and knock down the tower. They claim public consultation has been a farce.
I'm not actually promising that I'm going to blow up this building, but maybe some members of the community will wish to do that.
And this from a trade unionist who pushed developers out of Sydney's historic Rocks area.
It's obvious that in the run-up to the Olympic Games, the developers are going to wax lyrical and make more and more attacks on this city.
The New South Wales government says protesters are wasting their time. The government is resisting pressure to have the developer forced off the project because taxpayers simply can't afford a $700 million compensation bill.
How many hospitals can be built for $700 million? How many schools would have to close?
But opponents claim their proposal to have a taller tower built at the top of Circular Quay would be self-funding and offer much better views. The developer has government permission to build and no intention of stopping. Darren Roberts, 10 News.
And still to come in 10's late night news, the IRA condemned as bomb threats stop Britain's annual Aintree races. And halfway around the world, celebrating the spring in the wind.
A dilemma for our teachers. When could physical contact lead to allegations of abuse?
Teachers want to have a very close and personal relationship with the students that they teach.
A witch hunt for pedophiles has raised concerns that the positive side of touching will be lost.
If a child needs comforting, I think it's abusive not to. So I put my arm around a child at any stage they need that.
I wouldn't ever want that to change.
10 News, first at 5, Monday night on 10.
Australia's #1 selling four-cylinder car is running out at Hyundai's XL Runout. The mighty XL Sprint, now only $13,990 drive away. Powerful 1.5 litre fuel-injected engine that's extremely fuel efficient. The XL 5-door with power steering, just $16,990. Both drive away, no more to pay, and both have Hyundai's 3-year warranty. Hyundai's XL Runout. Run in before they run out.
The adult brain can absorb an extraordinary amount of information. The brain of a child, even more. The vital ingredients for brain function are potassium and vitamin B6, or in kids' language, a banana.
On her way to work, Rachel discovered the new sound of 107.1 SAFM. SAFM plays better music variety from the 70s. On SAFM.
Glenn Seaton's preparing for a hard race. pure punishment. There are incredible physical demands. Starting time, fueling's critical. Icy, strong iced coffee. Fuel for the day.
Gas, the ultimate in cooking control.
There's growing anger against the IRA across England after coded bomb threats stopped the Grand National steeplechase. Thousands of racegoers are still retrieving their vehicles after being stranded in Liverpool when police evacuated and sealed the Aintree course overnight.
Aintree was packed. 60,000 people crowded in for the world's most famous horse race. The mood was one of anticipation and excitement as the runners paraded round the ring. Then came the first sign something was wrong. It was half an hour to race time, but the tannoys were announcing an evacuation.
Please evacuate the whole race course and make your way to the centre course and coach park areas.
The crowds were good-humoured, there was no panic, and they were ushered across the course and away from the buildings.
There have been 2 coded bomb warnings received by the police, and there is no possibility of taking any chances. Consequently, we're going to abandon racing for today and make a further announcement later.
The horses, which had been in the last stages of preparation, were led away. Jockeys who'd been getting ready to mount up crowded round with trainers and owners, unable to take in what had happened.
Well, it's disgraceful, isn't it? It's so disappointing for so many people. All the time and effort that's gone into today. It's the biggest race in the world. It's very upsetting for everybody.
An emotional Jenny Pittman, twice a Grand National winning trainer with 2 horses due to run, was in tears.
I'm afraid these people are very sick. If you could have just seen the scenes down the stable yard where we've had to leave our horses.
Yeah.
You know, they just said, you've got to leave your horses, get out of here.
So
and I just find it, anybody that could be involved in such a disgusting act is just unbelievable.
No one was sure what would happen about the race, but as the crowds milled around the course, the fences were being damaged. Military experts began searching for bombs, a huge task in the debris left by the racegoers. Just 29 minutes after the Grand National should have started, they found a suspect package and made the first of several controlled explosions. Aintree officials hope the race can be run on Monday, but a final decision has yet to be taken.
As Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu prepares for crisis talks in America, thousands of Israelis have held a rally for peace. Meeting in Tel Aviv's symbolic Rabin Square, the crowd insisted that Netanyahu resume peace negotiations with the Palestinians immediately. They gathered around the spot that former Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was gunned down at, another peace rally nearly 18 months ago. Netanyahu is due to fly to Washington tomorrow for crisis talks with President Bill Clinton in another bid to restart the stalled peace process. Meanwhile, thousands of Palestinian children rallied on the West Bank in a united protest for peace. Waving banners and olive branches, they called on Jewish authorities to stop controversial building programs. Arabs blame Israel's insistence on building new settlements in East Jerusalem for the renewed violence that's racked the West Bank for 2 weeks and the collapse of peace talks. A malfunctioning electric generator looks like forcing an early end to the latest Columbia space mission. Although the astronauts say they have enough to work with, NASA says they could be recalled, possibly as early as Tuesday.
Life in Earth's orbit this weekend has astronauts and cosmonauts alike busy troubleshooting problems on board their spacecraft. Soon after the crew of the shuttle Columbia cranked up their space lab for 2 weeks of science experiments, NASA announced a problem that could force an early end to their mission. One of 3 fuel cells that provide power for the shuttle and space lab has weakened, a condition that could become dangerous. The gradual power drop began before Friday's launch, but engineers aren't sure if it was related to a voltage spike in the same fuel cell that caused a brief delay in the countdown. It had declined 200 millivolts by Saturday afternoon. Another 100, and the system would have to be turned off. But there is an indication that the decline may be leveling off.
Hopefully this fuel cell's performance will continue to stabilize and level off, and we'll go the full 2 weeks, and if not, we'll be prepared to to go ahead and safe the fuel cell and come home if we need to ensure that we've got a safe orbiter and safe return of the crew.
With just 2 of the 3 fuel cells working, there would be no reason to remain in orbit, since there would not be enough electricity to conduct space lab experiments. Meanwhile, in another orbit, the Russian Mir is awaiting an unmanned rocket to deliver a repair kit for a failed oxygen generator and supplies to fix a leaky cooling system. Those leaks have heated up part of the space station and forced the shutdown of the system that removes carbon dioxide from their air. NASA's director for the Shuttle Mir program says the crew, including American astronaut Jerry Liniger, is holding up well despite recent troubles. Without the repairs, the crew would be forced eventually to abandon the Mir.
And back on Earth, they welcomed a day of strong winds for the annual Smithsonian Kite Festival in Washington. Hundreds of people from across the United States and overseas gathered in the nation's capital to brighten the skies with kites of all shapes and colours. Having just as much fun as the kite flyers, thousands of spectators also turned out to celebrate the coming of spring. One of the favourites of the day was a 33-metre-long green octopus that struck a chord with youngsters as it swam in the sky. Still ahead in 10's late night news, a terror ride in a Melbourne taxi with a woman passenger allegedly stabbed, and all the colour, action and spills of indie.
That is a very heavy impact.
What do you do when a memory reaches from the past for help?
You hang on tight.
But the memory brings more pain than comfort.
Go away and don't come back.
It's a moving episode that may end in tragedy. 8:30 Monday, peak practice. Then at 9:35.
Kiss me. That's a very unprofessional thing to say.
Deputy Director.
You don't want a deputy, you want a puppet.
Will his first decision be his last?
Well, you know another solution. What? Resign.
Medivac, following peak practice, Monday on 10.
I'm so glad you're pleased. Listen, I'm out of town for a few days. On a bit of a holiday. Can I check in with you when I get back? Great.
There are some moments in life that are more special than others.
Hi, darling. How was your day?
We did it.
You got the tickets. Alex!
Like achieving the goals you set for yourself.
Yes!
Amway, because opportunity has its rewards.
What does getting in front mean to you?
I want a nice little house.
A couple of bottles of red and white.
Buy that new car, I've always wanted it.
Rosettes on the ceiling.
Well, a lot of overseas trips and tours.
Oh, and a nice big bar.
Bank SA's Great Start Home Loan now puts you further in front.
That would make me very, very happy.
6.5% per annum, fixed for 1 year.
That's fantastic. I'd go and give my bank manager a big kiss. Don't overdo it.
If you'd like to get in front, call 13 1376. Bank SA, the Bank of South Australians.
On her way to work, Rachel discovered the new sound of 107.1 SAFM. SAFM plays better music variety from the 107.1 SAFM.
Guess what? I want to be straight.
Can you remember this?
I want to be straight. I'm sick and tired of taking drugs and staying up late.
Or this.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Or this.
Hit me with your rhythm stick. Hit me.
Ian Julian of Blockhead's greatest hits. 18 reasons to be cheerful on one best of CD. How could you forget this?
What a waste.
So don't forget to buy it.
Terror in a taxi in Melbourne. Police are hunting a driver who stabbed a female passenger after an argument early today.
The woman hailed a taxi at this rank in Melbourne's nightclub strip with 2 friends early this morning. Police say an argument developed over where the woman put her feet. A male passenger got out, attempting to pay the driver, but he sped off with the 2 women still in the back seat.
Taxi drivers then produced a knife and leant over to the back seat of the taxi and stabbed the victim once to the left side of the chest.
The woman remains in hospital in a serious but stable condition.
I would say the actions of the taxi driver are disgraceful. It's an unprovoked and violent attack.
The State Taxi Association says this was an isolated attack, maintaining Victorian cabs are still the safest in Australia. Police are unsure which company the driver worked for. He's described as being of Southern European appearance. Tim Mitchell, 10 News.
An alert after patrons at an Adelaide aquatics centre were overcome by fumes this evening. 5 ambulances with paramedics were sent to the swimming centre in North Adelaide after about a dozen people were overcome by fumes. It's believed fumes wafted through the centre as staff were backwashing a filter on one of the pools. The 9 children and 3 adults all suffered symptoms similar to tear gassing, but were not in a serious condition. Victoria Police have charged 4 men after separate dawn raids connected with a robbery at a police drug compound. But they've rejected reports that 2 officers are to be charged over the burglary.
Task Force Sentinel was set up earlier this year to investigate the break-in at the Melbourne Police complex. Stolen from a locked storeroom, police documents relating to a 5-year undercover drug operation. Senior police say internal investigations are continuing, but they've denied reports that 2 officers are about to be charged.
It's inaccurate in that it claims that police officers were questioned and will be charged.
Police have confirmed raids were conducted on 2 properties west of Melbourne last week. Drugs and firearms were seized, as well as computer equipment, which has been directly linked to the break-in at the St Kilda Road complex. A person has been questioned about the raids, but no charges have been laid.
It's a fairly difficult, involved investigation, but it's progressing.
Meanwhile, 4 men have today been charged over a break-in at another Melbourne police complex in 1992. Loreen Deal, 10 News.
In Adelaide, a 10-year-old scout who saved his grandparents after a shocking car smash has been honoured for his bravery. Ross Christian received his award today, along with another scout also commended for his courage.
Today was the second most important day of Ross Christian's life. The first was in May 1995 when he was travelling with his grandparents to Kimber. The car went off the road, rolled 4 times before sinking upside down in sand.
And you couldn't open the doors, so we were virtual prisoners hanging upside down.
When Ross noticed flames from the engine, he acted fast. Using a tyre lever, he opened a door to release his grandparents. He then put out the fire and ran to the road to seek help.
But I'm sure we wouldn't be here talking to you today if Ross hadn't been able to put the fires out.
But Ross is a reluctant hero.
It happened very quickly and I didn't really know what to do.
Another amazing story of courage comes from 13-year-old Alex McKenzie, who also received the Scouts Bravery Award. In February last year, he was in a bus which overturned en route to a scout camp.
I remember like when it rolled and all the scraping on the ground and all the yelling and screaming and all the frightening and blood and all that.
But despite suffering a broken arm and cut shoulder, he freed other trapped passengers, treating their wounds and helping to calm them.
He kept himself together and done what he was supposed to do, so we feel very proud of him.
Do you consider yourself as particularly brave?
Yeah.
Katrina Stapleton, 10 News.
Thousands of people packed a showground in the Adelaide Hills today to pay tribute to one of Australia's homegrown icons, the ute. Some 200 utilities of all shapes and sizes were rounded up for the great Aussie ute muster. As a mode of transport and farm workhorse, the ute has helped shape Australia. In the 50s and 60s, the ute was mainly owned by the man on the land, but these days, more and more are being used as recreational vehicles. Fine and hot weather drew a record crowd to today's 7th Gold Coast Indy races. The action on the Surfers Paradise circuit was matched only by the colour and the characters off the track.
Just after dawn, Indy crews arrived in pit lane to prepare for the big race. Spectators eager to catch some of the practice. A good final hit out was vital, as little more than a second separated the top 10 qualifiers.
The action on the track wasn't the only thing hot. As the temperature soared, fans tried everything to stay cool.
Buildings provided relief for many. Others brought their own shade. A thirst quencher didn't go astray either, as fans stocked up on Indy memorabilia.
Thank you.
Fashion-wise, the checkered flag was the favoured choice.
Got my sister to say them up, yeah.
So you're a motor racing junkie?
Yeah.
Spectators rate this year's event the best ever.
Probably no better place to have it. On the Gold Coast, thunder shine, the sand.
I mean, have a look around you. It's fabulous.
The atmosphere of it, the parties, We've got, I mean, it just buzzes.
An unexpected race goer was Dick Johnson, who crashed out of the V8 event yesterday.
It's one of those situations where you sit there and chew your nails. It's not often you get an opportunity to see what the other guys feel like when they're sitting in the pits.
David Mackay, 10 News.
When the late night news continues, the latest weather details, some gentle landings, and sports tonight with Tim Webster live from the Gold Coast, where Brazil's Christian Fittipaldi crashed out of today's Indy Grand Prix.
Jason, he did, and in spectacular fashion as well. We'll have an update on his condition very shortly. Also, all the day's league, AFL and rugby action, of course. And Scotty Pruitt goes one better to take the checkered flag in the Indy of '97.
Hi, this is Lee Towler from the Morning Crew. At the all-new time of 9:30 Tuesday night, be watching Big Sky, and you could be flying high with $1,000 cash. Just listen to the SAFM Morning Crew for your chance to win big with Big Sky. 9:30 Tuesday night on 10.
Oh, I've been up to Cunningham's Warehouse, yes sir.
Unbelievable bargains. Consular, tapestry luggage, suitcase, beauty case and travel case, $30 the lot. That's right, $30 for all three. Unbelievable. Cardio rider with monitor, sensational price at $134.99. Koya, top quality mat, $12.99. 35mm 27 exposure disposable camera, absolute bargain, $5.99. And 1 litre biodegradable dishwashing liquid, stock up at this price, $1.
Cunningham's Warehouse, yes sir.
Glenn Seaton's preparing for a hard race. Pure punishment. There are incredible physical demands. Starting time, fueling's critical. Icy, strong iced coffee. Fuel for the day.
On her way to work, Rachel discovered the new sound of 107.1 SAFM. SAFM plays better music variety from the 7.1 SAFM.
Everyone's certain to love Campbell's new chicken noodle soup.
Save some for me.
Because it contains real pieces
Hurry up, I'm hungry too.
of juicy, tender chicken.
Hey, there's chicken in this soup.
Campbell's. Good.
Now for today's weather details and what we hope's in store for tomorrow. It's been a fine day in Cairns and Townsville where the mercury hit 30. Similar in Brisbane and Sydney with tops of 29 degrees. Canberra was clear and 24. Melbourne cloudy, showers in Hobart. Adelaide fine and 20. More cloud and a top of 25 in Perth. Then clear skies across the centre and the top end. The satellite shows the only substantial cloud over the continent is still over Western Australia. On the synoptic, a high south of Western Australia extends a ridge across the Bight into New South Wales, while a cold front is moving into the Tasman. So tomorrow should see fine weather continue around Cairns and Townsville with tops of 30. Fine and 27 for Brisbane. Dry but windy with 22 degrees in Sydney. Dry and 18 in Canberra with moderating winds around Melbourne. Hobart showers should ease. Adelaide becoming fine with a top of 20. More thundery rain for Perth, but still fine across the centre and the top end. Now, more than 100 paratroopers caused quite a stir when they descended on Melbourne's Bayside today. But it wasn't a clandestine invasion. It was only a group of Australian Army commandos testing their specialist skills by jumping onto both land and water. And just to make the water landings interesting, inflatable craft were thrown out first for the commandos to assemble when they splashed down. Well, that's all in 10's Late Night News for this Sunday. Our next national bulletin's at 11:30 in the morning. But stay with us now for all the action in Sports Tonight with Tim Webster. I'm Jason Cameron. Good.
10 Late Night News proudly brought to you by Hyundai's XL Run Out. Run in before they run out.
10 News takes the time to give you more in-depth stories that happen in your suburb, in your country, and around the world. We put news first. We put you first. 10 News.
Sports Tonight, proudly brought to you by McDonald's, Hard Ice and Digital.
The Gold Coast Indy 1997. And a combination of pumping adrenaline and a slick, tight track created this. The Brazilian in hospital tonight with a shattered leg. Then it was all Tracy and Zanardi until another touch at high speed put them both out of contention. By process of elimination, veteran Scotty Pruitt took the checkered flag. His wife was overjoyed, but Indy's most incident-packed Aussie race leaves a controversial aftermath. Yes, hello everyone and welcome. I'm Tim Webster coming to you from the Gold Coast, the scene of today's extraordinary IndyCar Grand Prix. We'll take a look back at the day's dramatic events, we'll check on the condition of Christian Fittipaldi and drop in on Scott Pruitt's victory party, plus a whole lot more tonight too. Also in store for you, the Steel City side stamp their authority on the Optus Cup, Essendon spoils the Powers' first home party, and the Aussies ace the Czech Republic in the Davis Cup quarter-final. But first tonight, IndyCar 1997 will go down as one of the most drama-packed races in the history of the event. Tonight, Christian Fittipaldi is in the Gold Coast Hospital undergoing surgery on a leg broken in 4 places after an horrendous crash. Fittipaldi just one of many casualties coming to grief on the demanding street circuit. But in the end, it was American Scott Pruitt who took the flag. Pruitt kept his cool to seal only his second career victory ahead of Greg Moore and Michael Andretti.
Before has the Gold Coast Indy had such a dramatic start. Parker Johnston, a lucky escape. Not so Fittipaldi and De Ferran. Their cars destroyed in a sickening second lap crash.
Look at the pictures we have here of Christian Fittipaldi's Swift just absolutely destroyed. Christian Fittipaldi is unable to get out from that vehicle.
De Ferran shunted Fittipaldi into the wall at more than 250 kilometres an hour.
I think he probably didn't see me, and you know, I touched the wall and his side all at the same time, and when that happened, we both lost control and had a massive accident.
As Fittipaldi slams the wall, a distraught Fittipaldi had to be cut from the wrecked cockpit of his car after being trapped for almost half an hour. Stunned Newman Haas crew watched in disbelief as he was rushed to the track emergency centre. Fittipaldi was later taken to Gold Coast Hospital with a compound leg fracture and is expected to undergo surgery tonight. Controversy then raised as race officials ordered a complete restart against the wishes of many of the drivers who have threatened to protest the race result.
From where I come from, when you finish one lap, the race starts, but for some reason, they're going to call it a non-start and then start over.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's right. You know, we did all complete a lap, so I'm not sure it should be a complete restart.
Alex Zanardi won the restart after a 50-minute delay, but surrendered it shortly after to Paul Tracy under brakes. Then more carnage. Alonso Jr. lost a wheel, and Galter Salles brought up yet another yellow flag.
Well, he's missing the nose.
And Michael Andretti gave Blundell a hurry-up.
Boom!
Barely back under race conditions, Herter, Blundell and Johnston then took another off-track excursion. The casualty list increased. Fangio in flames, while a Vassar crewman cheated injury in the pits, unlike one of the Andretti team struck by Bowsell's car. On track, the attrition rate rose even higher. Race leader Tracy clashed with Meyer. Shortly after, he and Zanardi tangled with disastrous results. Scott Pruitt then inherited the lead, but late afternoon sun becoming hazardous for the drivers. The race was called at 5 p.m, giving Pruitt a fairy tale win. Third in 1995, second last year, and Gold Coast Indy champ in 97, ahead of Greg Moore with Michael Andretti third. The 37-year-old was joined by his new wife in what's been one memorable honeymoon down under.
We had a lot of problems this weekend. We broke our primary car the first day. Thanks to Raul, I qualified his car the second day after a bunch of problems with our car, and that really put a big load on the guys. It's just been tremendous. I think I'm going to make this my second home. Thanks.
So triumph for Pruitt, but a tragic end to the race, of course, for Christian Fittipaldi after that terrifying crash. Earlier, I spoke to Newman Haas team manager Lee White about his condition.
How's Christian? Well, he's in the hospital tonight, and they're performing surgery on him, I believe, to probably pin his legs and set it. He broke his right leg in 4 places in the accident. So I think, I mean, obviously we're very grateful that he's okay, but it's not good for the team and not good for him. It was an unfortunate incident, but it's probably going to be 6 or 8 weeks before he's back in business for us.
You've been to a meeting in regards to a protest tonight. What was the outcome of that meeting?
It was a very in-depth discussion about the restart of the race after the red flag situation, and some very valid points were brought up about the situation, and I think the end result was the protest was withdrawn, but it was agreed that it had valid foundation. So for the betterment of the series, it was withdrawn, but I think it opened some discussion about future events.
I get the feeling you guys, and you know this is a very dangerous sport, don't like to lay blame publicly.
No.
Yeah.
Not publicly. Yeah. I mean, what we think privately is different, and we certainly have discussions behind the scenes of how to improve our business, but we won't come out and point fingers in public.
Emphasises the point, Lee, I guess, that this is a very, very tight street circuit here, and gee, today anything can happen.
The circuit is very fast, very exciting, and by virtue of that, very dangerous, and we all know that. The drivers all know that, and obviously the organizers here do an excellent job of putting this facility together. We all like it, but it has its drawbacks. It's very difficult to pass on, and this series is very competitive, and you saw the result of that today.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we just hope that Christian gets back on deck as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, and I thank you for him as well.
That's Lee White, the manager of the Newman-Haas team. And while Fittipaldi recovers tonight, 1997 IndyCar champion Scott Pruitt is celebrating. The man who now considers himself an honorary Aussie is soaking up the excitement of his first Gold Coast win.
Post-race celebrations delayed by an impending press conference. Scott Pruitt, the winner of the race, Australia may have won him.
I like coming to Australia. That's probably one of my favorite events. Finished second here last year. We kind of felt like, not like we got robbed, but if we would have played a little smarter as a team, we could have won the race.
He spent his honeymoon here with new bride Judy. She equally in love with the ground of her husband's success.
We've been looking around at the property, and he said, I would like to live here. The people are so nice, and it seems so safe. And you know, he's got a really good feeling. We've had such good experience. So this, I'm pretty sure we'll be buying retirement property here now.
After a successful day at the office, it was time for the leader to pay credit to the ones who made it happen. Brahma Sports Team.
Great job. Good job. Great job, man. Good job.
The sweet taste of victory on the lips of every team member.
Hi, hero, Mr. Shipper. Good job. Thanks, man.
Well done, mate.
Thanks.
Well done.
Thanks, awesome.
Guys. Was it good?
It's terrific.
Celebrations continuing off the track. Scott Pruitt contemplating what happened on it.
Tell me, what was going through your mind when you saw Tracy and Zanardi do what they did?
All right. You know, I was like, yeah, you know.
The sounds of this party set to become louder before the team attempts to perform the perfect routine again as the Indy circus moves on.
It looks tremendous. Like I said, the Brahma Sports team, we're going to be a definite contender for the championship.
The Castrol Racing team is tonight celebrating a Quinella in the V8 Supercar Challenge. Drivers Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins finished first and second on a day when the Holdens dominated.
For once, Peter was not so perfect. Brock stalling on the grid, relegated to the back of the field, and the race reduced from 20 to 19 laps. But that didn't worry pole sitter Greg Murphy, who won the start, only to have transmission problems end his title hopes on lap 11.
Our race leader, who was doing it so comfortably, Greg Murphy, is out of the race.
Russell Ingall seized his opportunity out in front, while the battle was on for second between seasoned campaigners Larry Perkins and Alan Jones. But on the second last lap, disaster for Jones.
Oh, look at the lock break of Alan Jones, and he's lost it.
Ingall cruised to victory ahead of Perkins, a 1-2 result for the delighted Castrol camp, while Wayne Gardner slipped into third, a trifecta for the Commodores. Some compensation for Jones, though, finishing third overall.
Oh, it wasn't bad luck. I just made a mistake trying to outbrake Larry. They were just too quick for me, and I was trying to make up too much time under brakes and lost it.
Larry's teaching me a bit too well, I think. But no, it's going really well. I mean, and it's good to see the crowd get behind us as well. They're really getting behind the Castrol Commodore team this year, and it's fantastic to see that. I think they like seeing sort of the underdogs get up and win.
And the crowd certainly did get into the spirit of Indy 97. Thousands made the pilgrimage trackside. Some took the corporate view, others a high-rise perspective. Gold Coast Indy parties were in full swing.
Oh, just a fantastic view that's just going off here. Yeah.
And the Indy party entertainment isn't only restricted to ground level. One thing's for sure, these locals love the event.
What's not like to like? I mean, 4 days of fun.
Ah, yes, you can tell everyone has a terrible time here. You're watching Sports Tonight live from IndyCar. Celebrations in full swing. We'll be back with all the day's other sport right after this.
It's here.
What the hell is this?
The X-File event of the year.
What you're looking at is quite possibly from Mars.
The movie-length television premiere.
Whatever's in that rock, it appears to be lethal.
8:30 Wednesday on 10. The X-Files. Tunguska.
Hey, chill out. I'm getting them.